Welcome then to my next project and to my workshop. I shall take you a little tour of the place and then I'll show you what it is that I'm going to be working on next. What I would like to do is just flip the camera around, but I've just had a Apple software update and they've hidden the control for that, which you believe. So I'm going to stop this and then I'll start again and I'll show you what I'm working on. Jesus Christ, I mean, you couldn't make it up, would you? I mean, why would you take away the control where you turn the camera around or bury it under menu features? Right, so my workshop, 1968 Volkswagen camper van, which used to be on the road. I used it for a few years and I've been restoring it for the last, well, I was restoring it for about 10 years, but it's just sat in here for about 2 or 3 years and I haven't done anything to it. It's mostly had its welding done and it's mostly just waiting for me to finish, just tidy up the bodywork so I can do some paint, and also the engine under here somewhere. You will see what this is in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute. But behind there, I don't know if you can see, is a Volkswagen 1600 twin port engine, which I need to send away for line boring, and I'm going to in the next week or so. And this here is all the rest of what's left of the engine. That is my dad's old Singer 45 sewing machine that he used, his entire working life. Every, bit of food on the table or whatever come from this. And this, again, it's nothing to do with what I'm doing, is a 1965 to 1970 BSA Bantam, which I have had up and running and I used all summer, but over Christmas I decided I was going to put a trials exhaust on it. So I've manufactured me a high-level trials exhaust with an exhaust box from a Honda DL125, which was exactly what the sort of Charles boys and the Scrambler boys on these back in the day used to do. So I'm perfectly happy I'm doing something that's period correct. We'll get to this on another project, but the reason this is covered in covers and things at the moment and not going out anywhere is when I started it, it was just so loud that there's just no way I can go out on the road with it. So I've got to do something to the silencer to, so quieten down a bit. What I did do is I did, you see these rivets here, I took advice from the sort of Bantam guys online, and I took the end cap off and I took the baffles out, and they said, oh, you need to wrap it in this special insulation. And I thought, great, he probably hasn't got any, that's probably why it's so loud. So I took it all apart and it's already been wrapped in that special silencing insulation. So, I don't quite know what to do with it. I mean, I'm damned if I'm going to put the, the ugly low slung exhaust back on it. But I just, I think I've underestimated the amount of noise that, it's supposed to be a 175, but this is a 185 because I've done all sorts of engine work on that and had engine bits sent away and stuff, and it's been rebored, and it's got a different head on it and a different piston and all sorts. So it's probably 185 plus cc now, and with basically just literally a straight pipe through. I'll do it in another video, but I mean, it's basically unusable at the moment. The Angry Chicken was an addition of mine. Anyway, gonna cover that up because that's not why we're here. Just 1 second while I sort myself out. Right then, other side of the workshop, 2018 VW T6.1 camper that we use and the kids use. I bought a few years ago, and I bought it basically because Michelle was so fed up waiting for me to restore the T2 that she persuaded me to buy this. So here's what I'm going to do. This is what this project's going to be. So if you just bear with me a second up the steps. Roof, big, nice, flat roof. Now this is actually fiberglass and it tilts, so it tilts from the back. So you've probably seen these before or whatever, and I can't do it in here because I haven't got enough room, but you know, the front tilts up and you've got a window and all sorts. Well, what my project is I've got one of these. You can just about see it here, but it's oh God, I'm going to turn that heater off. Too hot. Hang on. Right. It's Renogy or Renogy. It's a 200 watt suitcase solar panel setup. So I mean, this is obviously the back of it, but it all fits in this nice case here, and although I've removed these, and I'll tell you a bit more about these in a minute, we just weren't using it, because it's such a faff. You know, you end up putting it in the camper, and then when you're parked up or camped up, you end up putting it back in its suitcase and shoving it under the camper because there just isn't the room to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to take these, they're fairly standard 200 watt solar panels, and take all this gubbins off. In fact, you can, if you're observant, you can see that I've already done that. So there's two great big hinges there. There's the Renogy, and so there's a Renogy controller and various cables and stuff. So all of this was just riveted, or in fact these were bolted on, but everything else, you know, all of the hinges and everything was simply riveted on. So I've just simply taken an oversized drill and taken the heads of the rivets off with a drill and knocked them all out, and these were like the various handles and all the rest of it. So I'll clear this and then I'll start it again, but basically what it I'll show you again, but what it basically gives me now is two completely flat solar panels. So the idea would be put them up here somewhere as flat as I can. If you have a look, I've got about 4.5 inches in old money clearance out of the garage, though I've done the garage door. I won't go into that, but it's not standard. I put a hinge on it, open sideways now. But anyway, this is exactly 2 meters high. So I'm hoping that I'll only gain a few inches or whatever, and then this thing will still be able to go under barriers in council car parks. Now I know that I'm not going to get, it depends what direction I point, park at, and whether the roof's sat, and the chances of this being pointed at the sun, in the perfect angle to get the the maximum amount of energy is if I mount it like this, is probably fairly low, but it will catch a hell of a lot more energy than sitting in the suitcase under it, which is all it's done so far. So what I bought myself, now these are the Renogy, you have a go, yeah, Renogy. So these are the proper Renogy brackets for mounting on the roof. Now there are various different types of brackets you can get, but these are made so that you don't have to drill holes down through the pop-up fiberglass roof. Because if I had to do that, I mean, I haven't added it up, but it probably come to 24, 30, holes drilled in the roof that all need sealing, and of course, I don't want to do that. So I bought this, and luckily they thought of that. So the idea is that you basically use a this is used a lot in the sort of car world, but a Sikaflex 252, basically sort of grab silicone, and I'm told by friends who've done a similar job to this, and it's super strong. And what it will mean if I get it right, I'll go over the electrics and the cables at another date, but what it should mean is that I only have a single cable coming through the roof, and that cable will be somewhere at the back here. Now I don't quite know where yet, because this roof tilts, you know, this is the hinge bit, and this tilts, and this is the you know, the door of the camper, which is like an up and over door, and I think they get pretty close together, so you can get proper solar cable glands. So I'll get a single solar cable gland, and I need to have a single hole through to the inside to, you know, to run the wires, to run the electrics. Whether I'm going to go into you know, the fiberglass roof, or whether I'm going to go into the metal in the back, I mean, I need to get them up here, and I need to have a look, but I'm not certain yet. I think I'm going to suck it and see, you know, what the best way to do it, because obviously I'll need a little bit of cable flexibility as it, there you go, as you know, as it sort of tilts up on the back, so it can't be too tight. But anyway, the detail, mere detail. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get rid of all the gumph off of those two panels that have already cut off, and I'm going to lay them on here, and then we're going to have a look to see the best place to put them, and then I'll come back. So that's you know, all the hinges and, you know, various handles and, you know, the controller and everything removed. You just have to imagine there was a, you know, video of me of it drilling out. I really should have you know, I should have showed me removing it, but you know, what the heck, I didn't get around to it. So this is where we're starting. So what we got now, we've got two. Just tip that over, there you go, there's the other side. Let me just put it down because these are quite heavy. So two just plain flat, I don't know how many watt they are actually. Let's have a look. I think they might be 150 watts each or something. Let's have a look. Oh no, they're 200 watt. They say 200 watt per panel. So once these are up, that will be 400 watts. So what I'm now going to do, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to take the brackets, and I'm going to lay them on top of the camper, and then we'll work out how we're going to do this. See my garage door here? They used to be up and over garage doors, but when I bought this and I found I couldn't get it in the garage, I cut these doors off, and what I did is I put them on hinges. Could do with a bit of paint actually. So this big door now hinges, and that gives you, so now I've got all the, you know, I've got quite a lot of clearance, you know, and I can just kind of pull it shut. I mean, it's an interim measure, you know. Eventually I'm going to let's just shut it on bolts. Eventually I'm going to have those nice modern, you know, sort of you know, them sort of concertina, you know, modern looking things or whatever, but you know, that's a, you know, job for another day. They're like about £1,000 a side. Right, so let me show you what I've discovered. So here we go. Here's the first of these 200 watt panels just lying up here fairly near the back. Now what I wanted to do is I wanted to put them down the middle, just, you know, from sort of end to end basically, but I've got this, can you see that raised section there in the roof, which I imagine was probably for a sunroof or something. You know, it's probably the cutout for a sunroof. That's what it looks like anyway. So I can't really do that because the brackets are not gonna, it just doesn't fit lengthwise, so they're going to have to go sideways, and they, you know, they seem okay sideways, but what there's two problems here. So if you have a look, you'll see, let me just get you a better view. Hang on. You see these, there's you know, there's sort of a raised section. There are these 2 raised bars, you know, in the middle, just to, these will be to give it strength, rigidity, you know, and it's raised at the edge, so there's 1, 2, 3, you know, lower down sections, and that means that these brackets, they don't quite fit. I mean, it's exactly the same the other side, you know, you can see it slightly up in the air. So I've kind of got to decide what to do about that if I'm going to use these brackets. And the other problem is, if you have a look, you'll see that the roof isn't, you know, it goes up in the middle. So although these are nicely in the brackets, these ones here, the 2 middle ones, they are what, centimetre? Yeah, I'm going to go metric now. I'm not going to do any more inches. I apologise for doing inches. I'm a European. So I've got to decide what to do. Do I use the ones in the middle? Do I try to cut the ones in the middle down? Do I cut the ones at the side down? I don't know. I'm going to have to go away and have a look. Let's have a look at the tape measure. We're only about a centimetre too long. So there's enough flatness on these, I think, to mount them fairly well, and that you know, mastic stuff is incredible anyway. So maybe if I was to cut an inch, oh, not an inch, there I go again. If I was to cut a centimetre off of each one of these, then maybe it would sit flat. So anyway, yeah, let me have a look and I'll come back. 2 secs. This was my solution then. Trusty angle grinder with a, you know, a cutting wheel and a flat wheel, a metal oxide flat wheel. So what I did, I might show you me doing one in a minute. If you have a look, let's go and get one of the uncut ones. 2 secs. Ow, wow! Let's take one of these off and you can see the difference. I do fall off ladders, by the way, regularly. Right, here you go. You can see what I've done here now. One from out the box, one from that has been attacked by a Mudge angle grinder. So what I've done on here is I've put a slight, you see I put a profile on there. That's what I was using the, you know, the flap wheel for, and I, you know, marked it out and I scribed it out and stuff, and I took exactly a centimetre off, and I've done it on all 4 corner ones, and I think there's still plenty of meat on there to what's it called, Sicker flex them on. So I'm just going to quickly do the other ones, and I won't subject you to angle grinder noise like I will my neighbours. But let me do that, and then I'm going to put them up, and then I'm going to show you. I'm back. As you can see, and it's the same the other side. Let's pull it this way a bit. Those sit beautifully now. Those sit completely flat. I only have taken off the minimum amount I could get away with. And this is sitting lovely and flat now. So I think that's got to be my solution to that. Unfortunately, I don't know what I'm going to do with the middle ones here. I don't know whether I'm going to cut them down in height, or I'm just going to not use the middle ones. But I'm a little bit nervous that only 4. I mean, 4 brackets, 6 brackets, 6 brackets is overkill for this. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about it. Anyway, I'm going to do the other brackets to put all of them up here. So I've been thinking about how to mount them to the actual solar panels. Excuse me. And I think, bearing in mind that everything was bolted and screwed onto these anyway, they've given sort of lovely, you know, recesses here for bolting them on. And I think the advantage, if I actually do that, if I stick everything on, and they'll never be able to get to the back of them I'll never be able to take them off easily anyway. If if I get problems with a panel and need to replace a panel, but also the wiring, I need to wire this imaginary one to this one, through the somehow through the roof down to the to the controller unit, down to the battery. So I'm gonna bolt these in, and I'm not sure of bolts. I would think M8 or short M8 bolts. But my only slight nervousness is I can't. Now these are the right amount off. You can see my hand under here. These are the right amount off, off the surface to allow air to circulate. Which is something you need for the summer, I'm told. Otherwise, these things, can sort of, I don't know, self-combust or whatever. So I need to get to the nuts. If I'm going to bolt this, I'll need to get to the nuts behind here, and that isn't. I don't think there's enough room even to get a small socket behind there. So I think I'd always struggle to get them off. So I need to, while I'm cutting these, I'm going to have a think about it, whether I can put some kind of, drill a hole and put some kind of captive nut, or maybe use those, those sort of screw fix, I don't even know what they're called, those sort of blind fastenings that you can put into metal panels. And they're not the one I said before, they're not the, oh God, what's the word for it? Captive nuts. They're not the captive nuts. They're sort of a more modern sort of screw insert that will grip the inside of the metal. So I don't know what to do. I'm going to cut the other ones of these down, so I've got all the panels on here, and then maybe I'll line it all up, and then maybe I'll just glue. No, probably won't glue them on yet, because I've still got to drill holes through them, haven't I? I don't want to be doing that on the roof. So yeah, no, there's a little bit of thinking still to go on here, but yeah, basically I think one there, sort of glued down and then bolted. You've got to have to be really careful drilling holes through the metal, but then again, look, I mean, the things are full of holes that have been drilled through, so it's not, it's, as long as you're careful, I think it's fine. But you don't want to damage this glass in any way, and that's why I'm slightly nervous about the one in the middle, because I could probably cut it down a little bit and then make it fit by twisting the frame a bit, but then I'm twisting the frame on a glass panel, and we know what will happen. So anyway, I'm going to cut down the other panel, the other brackets, and then lay it all out and then have another think. I'll be back. All right, so I've got you on my little brackety thing at the moment. So what I'm going to do, I'm just scribing a little line on here. Let's see, it's exactly 1 centimetre that I need to lose, same as the other one. So scribe that and then I'll show it to you. Hang on. If we can do it without slipping. There you go. I don't know if you can see the line, but just basically scribed another lovely old tool from my dad. I really did inherit some, family jewels of, old tools from my dad's working life. Anyway, let me just do them all and then I'll start cutting them. I'll show you. So here we go. So I'm now going to take this angle grinder with a small metal cutting wheel actually, and then I'm going to cut these and then I'll be back 2 seconds. So there are probably all sorts of better ways to do this, and I did look at this and think of strapping it down and all sorts of other things, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to, and I know I've not got safety glasses on, and I know I've not got safety gloves on, but you need to blah 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 blah, but I'm different, and this is just plastic anyway. So I'm just, well, I've done them before, so I know that I did the other one, so I know this is good. So I'm just going to basically melt my way through this, and then I will be back. So let me show you. Here we go. There you go. That didn't hurt anyone. And I know that's a horrible, horrible melty bit on the end, but look, that would just peel off. That just peel off. And so what I'll do is I'll just take a little bit of coarse sandpaper to this, just to make this a nice edge and to put that angle on it that I showed you a moment ago. So there we are, just good old 40 grit sandpaper. I should be able to get a nice finished edge on this. It doesn't really take much. There you go. There you are. Smooth as a, you know, and as straight as a dog's cocked back leg, as my old dad used to say. You know, that's what they call a craftsman finish and not an engineer's finish, as I was taught at college. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll put an angle on that and then that's done. Yeah, nice angle on there, as it were. See that? Craftsman finish. Good enough. Don't squint. I'll move it around. Look, it looks lovely. Look, there you go. So I'll do the others and then I'll get the other panels on the roof. The other panel on the roof. There you are. There's those just two brackets just lying back to back where I've cut them, and that's not a bad straight line, is it? Considering I just scribed it and did it with an angle grinder. Just while I'm here, just a little word on this. While I'm working here, this is it's really my secondary workbench. That's my main workbench, but this is my secondary workbench, and it's in the back of the camper van, and it's the perfect height. It is just the perfect height to, you know, to work, you know. And I've got me, you know, where is it? Can't do it. My Volkswagen engine in there, and a gearbox and everything else. I need to get this done so I can actually get working on. But yeah, I just thought I'd show you those. Yeah, not bad, eh? So here we are back on top of the camper, and you can have a see now. These are all, you know, these really, you know, fit nicely into this recesses here. So I'm really happy with that now. I still don't know what I'm going to do about the brackets in the middle, because you probably can't see from there. You have to trust me. It's like 0.5 centimetre out where it bows, and I don't fancy bending these metal parts. I don't know if you can hear that. It sounds like a generator, by the way, and it's because my neighbour has decided to climb on top of his roof and clear the moss off with a jet wash. You know, what kind of twat gets on his roof and uses a jet wash? Oh, Christ, honestly. So yeah, sorry about that. Right, so before I disappear down Screwfix and see what I can find in the way of sort of blind you know, sockets or whatever for screwing into metal panels, and these are only a couple of millimeters thick aluminium extruding. Before I do, I just wanted to show you this. So if you can just put up with the camera, just winding around for a minute. If I shove the tape measure all the way down to the floor, which I'm doing now, right, and you have to bear with me. There you go. You'll see I'm now, if I can get the tape measure straight, about just over 7, about 7 centimeters above 2 meters. So all of this has only added 7 centimeters, and that's less than I thought. Hang on, I'm putting the tape measure back. But I think that's because we've got a recess here. So 7 centimeters, what's that in old money? 2.5 inches. Looking at this, 2.5 groats or inches or whatever they called it, which is nothing, you know. And I couldn't have got any flatter anyway, because you've got to use these brackets with this air gap, like I say. But the fact that I've got like a recess here, you know, 2.5 centimeters. So this was, like I think I said before, this is exactly 2 meters. And council car parks tend to be somewhere between 2 meters and 2.1 meters. So I'm under 2.1 meters, and even the ones that are 2 meters, you know, as long as you're careful, they don't tend to be 2 meters dead. So I'm fairly confident that is going to be fine, and that doesn't actually add a huge amount of extra height anyway. So all I need to do now, I think, is disappear down screw fix, and it'll be screw fix and not B&Q because I don't want to punch up, and see what I can get in the way of blind fastenings. Now I've already got a whole box of M8 bolts of the right length and washers and nuts, although I probably won't need the nut if I've got a blind fastening. But I need to see what I'm going to do there. So when I've done that, I think I'll drill holes in I line these up, drill holes in the panels, bolt the panels onto these, put these on the roof, mark roughly where they're going to be. In fact, I might not even do that. I might bolt them on and then just put this masticky stuff with a little bit of weight on each corner, and then just let it set over a couple of days, and then unbolt these and take it off, because like I say, they will need wiring. Plus I need to know what I'm going to do here anyway. But I think what I'm going to do there is I don't know what I'm going to do there, so I'm clear. I don't know what I'm going to do there, but let's do these. I'll go and get some fastenings and go from there.